let's talk the rest of these Scott Boras free agents. As again, it's now March. The calendar has turned to March. Seems like the year's going by quick. But the MLB season will start this month, officially start this month, which is it's exciting for us fans. But it has to be equally concerning for Scott Boras and the rest of his big name free agents like Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, and JD Martinez, as they are without deals, and there is around 3 weeks left until the season starts. And obviously, a couple of Boras clients now with Matt Chapman and Cody Bellinger signing shorter term deals with lots of opt-outs in them, which has to be another concern for all the parties who are involved, because this process is taking forever and dragging out much longer than usual. So Taylor, why have these big name Boras free agents been taking so long to sign? And then give me your thoughts on this Bellinger signing with the Cubs as well.
Yeah, there was a lot going on this year that I think impacted these free agent signings. And I think Boras kind of set the bar too high in what has turned out to be a bit of a weird year for baseball as a business, when most owners are kind of trending towards being more risk averse. But obviously, Boras is one of the best, probably the best agent in the history of baseball, at least in terms of getting his clients, those paydays. But he's kind of been up against this perfect storm of factors that has reduced demand in some of these guys, as we've seen. First of all, the offseason got off to a bit of a slow start because everybody was waiting for the Shohei domino to fall, because nobody could really do anything until they knew where he was going. And then after that, he obviously set the market value extremely high. And then Yamamoto followed after that. And we mentioned Jung-Hoo Lee, and I even think his contract set the market a little bit high, especially in that international space. There's also the continued reluctance of all these specifically mid-market owners to spend in general because of the uncertainty of these RSNs and like the TV revenue side of things. Snell and the aforementioned Matt Chapman have also been tied to these draft pick compensations. So when they're signed, it actually costs the team draft picks and in turn prospect capital. And also specifically with Snell and Monty, we've seen so many pitching injuries over the past couple of years. And I think that slew of pitching injuries has really turned a lot of teams off to giving these guys longer term deals, especially arms that are in free agency. Usually those are guys that are around the age of 30. Teams are really starting to avoid contracts like that and lean more into the younger side of the game, because that's more of a macro pattern that we've been seeing over the past couple of years, as the game is just trending younger. Rookies are more prepared for the big leagues when they come up now. Gunnar Henderson, Corbin Carroll, guys like that. Like, we're seeing big performance out of them because we have better scouting and better data, and we know how those skills are going to translate into the big leagues better. And I think there was also a common thread between all these Boras guys, which is they're all so hard to value because they've had so many varying degrees of success over the past couple of years, and for some of them, their careers. Bellinger's deal was a great example of how hard it is to value these guys, because how do you value a guy who won the MVP in 2019, then 2 years later has a -1 F-WAR, then 2 years after that, which was last year, he reinvents himself and puts up good surface numbers, but then you look under the surface and you're like, this guy wasn't really hitting the ball that hard. And that's obviously a sticking point for a lot of clubs now. On top of that, he's also a Gold Glove winning outfielder that can also play a Gold Glove first base. So how do you put a value on that, especially long term? Like what's your risk profile? That's a really hard thing for a club to do. And I think for a lot of these guys, and Belly in particular, I think the market wanted to just see another year out of them. Can Snell do anything close to what he did last year? Is Matt Chapman going to be able to get his power back? Is this who Belly is now? Is he this more contact-oriented guy? Because if he can do that consistently, there's a lot of value in that. What Belly's deal did was it basically reset the market. Now all these teams know, short-term deals are also on the table, so we don't have to risk these longer-term deals with these guys that we don't quite know how to value. So I think that is also bringing a lot more teams into the fold. That Bellinger deal was great for him, great for the Cubs, and I think it was kind of bad for really all of the other Boras clients, because now I think none of the other teams are really going to accept these longer term deals from most of these guys.
Yeah, I think the main point that struck with me that you hit on, Taylor, was these guys are so unique as far as their situations entering free agency. Like, you described the situation with Bellinger, like he went from arguably the best player in baseball to 2 years later being arguably the worst player in baseball. And then he goes back to being a really, really good player. So again, how do you evaluate that? Like from a team perspective, like I know from a Yankees fan perspective, like if we would have given Bellinger 7 years, $200 million, like he was asking for before the season, I would have been like, oh hell, like I'm not comfortable with that, but again, the contract that he got from the Cubs was perfect because it's 3 years. It gives Bellinger an opportunity where if he has another good year next year, it kind of proves the team's okay. It wasn't a fluke. Now we have more confidence in giving him that longer term deal that he's seeking. Montgomery's always solid, but he's never like great in the regular season. Right. So it's like, are we going to give a solid regular season pitcher, $180, $200 million? I don't know if you're willing to do that. Blake Snell, some years he's the Cy Young, and some years it's like you can't throw him more than 4 innings. So it's like and he never really goes deep into games. So it's like,
how much is that worth?
Exactly. So it's all these guys are in such unique situations that it's like, I have no idea how to put a price on any of these unique situations. And you saw teams signing guys who were more kind of sure things. Even if they had less upside, they were more sure things. Like the Yankees go get Marcus Stroman for 2 years, $37 million, where it's like, he's more of a sure thing. We know more of what he's going to get and we can kind of sign him for less, right? The Giants go get Soler for 3 years, $42 million. We know we're going to bring him in. We know he's going to give us pop. We know exactly what we're going to get from him, right? Taylor, I want to get your thoughts too. Do you think this is going to be kind of how the Snell and Montgomery deals end up as well? Like, are they going to end up in this shorter term opt-out range as well?
I think the Snell deal will for sure. I think Montgomery is a bit of a more interesting case because he's the kind of guy any team could add right now and they would be better. One of the things that I think just threw off all of these numbers, specifically with Snell and I guess Monty, was Yamamoto's contract. Yeah. I mean, you look at Snell and this guy's like, I just won the Cy Young for the second time in Major League Baseball. This guy's never thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball, and you're giving him that much, and you won't give me 3 years?